Recording in progress. We all know what that means. We're back. Another great episode. Only my third one of the year. I think actually a second one of the year, actually, because there's not a lot going on in the baseball world. And as you can see, I am joined by my oldest friend in the universe, Anthony. Anthony, buddy, how we doing today?
I'm great. How are we doing? I mean, come on, the Phillies had a great year. Now the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl.
I got my I
You
grabbed
know,
my
it's
shirt
just
today.
it's quite the year, and we'll see what happens moving forward with the other teams, but hopefully the good luck continues here.
Yeah, I mean, I saw something on Twitter earlier today that's it was like kind of a reflection of the championship teams. In 2017, the Astros won the World Series, Golden State won the NBA Finals, and the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And now in 2022, Astros won the World Series, Golden State won the NBA Final, and now the Eagles are right there. So if the Phillies had to lose the World Series for the Philly or for the Eagles to win the Super Bowl, it's a small price to pay. But hey, it's not an Eagles podcast. That's coming soon, maybe. I keep saying it, but I don't know if I'm ever gonna do it. But since I mean, obviously it's your first time on. Uh, so what let's kind of journey back to that 2022 team because it's crazy to think that that team is going to be remembered with like the 93 team, the 2008 team, 2009, like one of the good best Phillies teams we've ever seen. Just kind of walk me through that experience for you as a fan, watching them go from almost collapsing in September, even farther back, kind of when Girardi was fired, almost collapsing, and then obviously going to the World Series. What was that like for you as a fan?
I mean, it was really interesting because I mean, in the beginning of the season, I was still not even in Philly too. I was watching a little bit from afar in Connecticut before I came back to Philly in September. But so for most of the season, I was watching, and I mean, when Girardi left, I thought that was the right move. To be honest, I've always said Gabe was better than Girardi. I never thought Gabe was really the problem.
I
I
said
like
it too.
Gabe.
I loved
Yeah.
Gabe. Him and his six pack and his coconut oil and all.
Yeah. Sucking on ice cream and everything.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's I liked Gabe. I still do like Gabe, but either way, I am kind of happy the way things turned out. Obviously, they fired Girardi and Philly Rob became a thing pretty quickly. They were up and down a little bit, but I mean, it really did seem like that locker room totally changed. The players were energized and they continue to fill holes on this team. Like even throughout the season, I think when people were injured, a lot of our guys stepped up. And I know people like Castellanos were inconsistent. And not only him, the team, everyone had their ups and downs, especially with this lineup. I
Mhm.
think with the amount of power the Phillies have in their lineup when it comes to Harper, and especially when Harper was down, they needed people to step up, and I think that happened. And obviously, Schwarber clearly
Our God. Our
turned
God.
into an instant home run at the plate. A lot of the times, it felt like. But either way, really, really great, obviously, run at the end there, then too, because I thought it was over when they went to the West Coast. I mean, going into September, I know they had a good year, but I just didn't think I thought it was too good to be true with that kind of collapse. But they turned it around and going in that hot in baseball, you never know what could happen. And excuse me.
True professionals here.
Yeah, yeah, sorry. I don't know what it is, something in my throat, but either way, the Phillies really just did impress at that point, and I don't know. I'm really excited to see what happens this year. Obviously, they didn't win it all, but they've proven they are the team people think they can be.
Yeah, I mean, I hate the narrative that I mean, it's obvious, it's easy to say, but I hate the narrative that the Phillies were just a hot team and they just got hot at the right time. Where if you look at post Thompson era, like the Thompson era, they were among the best teams in baseball from June 1st on. It wasn't just a coincidence that they started, on that hot streak going into the playoffs, but I think I'm very, very excited for what 2023 has to offer because kind of like you mentioned, the team is very boomer bust, and now you add in a Trey Turner. You there's no way, and I just refuse to believe it, that Nick Castellanos is going to be that bad again. And then you have another year of Brandon Marsh, and he was almost a 300 hitter with the team. So you're going to have a lot of guys who are hit for a little more average, and then mixed in with Schwarber and Hoskins and Bohm. Hopefully that power develops from him. And if not, he's going to hit 300, you know. But I think my expectations for 2023 is I'm obviously kind of biased here, but I think they could win the division. What do you think?
I mean, obviously, I think this is one of the hardest divisions in baseball, and it continues to prove that. Even look, when Harper left the Nationals, they went out there and they won a World Series. The Braves have consistently been a contender. The Mets, I know we like to make fun of the Mets, but the Mets, they really have also been a contender. So it's a
Regular
tough
season
division.
champions, the New York Yankees.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Playing the trumpet.
Yeah.
But either way, I think it is really probably the hardest division in all of baseball. So winning the division, I'm not saying you're crazy. They, like you said, buttoned up a lot of things, whether it was throughout last year with a couple trades or now, I mean, in the offseason, especially with Trey Turner, and their pitching continues to just improve. And I don't know, man. It's obviously now they have a certain expectation,
Yeah.
which I don't know. I think that'll also bring an accountability to an
Mhm.
extent. And that's something this lineup needs. And that's something I think really the locker room had at the end of the season. It was just tough. It's the Astros are the Astros, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but it
They're
really
they're a
is.
juggernaut. Like
Yeah.
that team is stacked from one, and then going into 2023 with the Astros, you add Jose Abreu to that team. That's just unreal. Like I don't see a weakness in that team. And looking back on it, obviously it hurt when they lost, but I can't believe they took them to a game 6 with, really having Wheeler on. Wheeler's arm was absolutely shredded by the end of that postseason run. Nola was still good. Suarez was still good, but that was kind of it. Like you have a bullpen game 3, or no, excuse me, game 4, and then you have a day off, and then you're right back to Nola, Wheeler, Suarez. So the fact that they took them to game 6 is pretty good. I kind of knew it was the nail in the coffin when the no hitter happened. And although we can't do anything, get Reese Hoskins off this team, and Chas McCormick catch will haunt me for the rest of my life. And if I hear that he's from the Philly area one more time, I was going to throw up. But that's in the past. We're in the past. Now we're looking forward to the 2023 Phils. Now, what do you think of Dombrowski's offseason so far? Well, obviously it's not done, but it's pretty much done at this point. So what would you rate it overall?
I mean, I feel like you have to just give them a solid B plus.
Yeah.
Not just I almost want to say an A because of Trey Turner,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's still not perfect. And I think Craig Kimbrell, I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it is an A. Like the
I'm
way
going with A
like,
minus. A
yeah, yeah.
minus.
A minus might be it's hard. It really is hard to beat in the MLB in off season kind of the way he has. And after the Phillies kind of fell the way they did, you just called the Astros a juggernaut. Putting a roster together the way that the Phillies are, and I know this is something that Phillies fans consistently used to complain about with the team, is they don't spend enough money. They don't want to invest. They'll bring in Harper. I mean, even me, dude, even I said it. I said they signed a player like Harper because all they want to do is put butts in the seats, sell the Harper jerseys, and go on, be competitive enough and not win.
Hmm.
And I mean, I think they're consistently trying to prove me wrong at this point, and I'm happy to be proved wrong because honestly,
It's
that's
fun.
all we need to do is button up the things that need to be buttoned up, sign the
Mhm.
players you can sign, and players want to play here, especially
Mhm.
after a season like last year. I think it
Yeah.
shows the appeal of Philadelphia playoff baseball here. It's definitely an experience. Not that, I think in the Northeast in general it is. And Philadelphia, we just have to remind people sometimes, but that's how you interact a Trey Turner, a Craig Kimbrell, and Dombrowski got it done. And like you said, I think, you really do have to go A tier because what other GM is really putting that much I don't know, star power in the needed positions.
Yeah, and I mean, you heard it in Trey Turner's press conference and the interviews afterwards that he saw from his couch the absolute electricity that Citizens Bank Park had, and he said he wanted to play here. And obviously, he has ties to Harper and to Chris Long or Kevin Long, not Chris Long. Shout out to Chris Long. Uh, but he had ties here, and I think Taiwan Walker said the same thing. Like he saw the electricity and he wanted to come here, and he sees what the Phillies are building. And I think it comes down to, you know, Middleton didn't really trust Matt Klentak and Andy McPhail with anything. That's why you saw when they kind of flipped that switch from almost competing, like from 2017 to 2018, you could see them kind of flip a switch to we're done the rebuild now, and now we're going to try to compete. And you saw that with when they brought in Jake Arrieta, when they got Carlos Santana for some reason was signed that offseason when you had Rhys Hoskins. But anyway, that Middleton was a lot more hands-on during that time. And then when Matt Klentak stepped down after the ghoulish 2020 season, you kind of saw Middleton kind of take his hands off and is like, all right, Dave, kind of take it away here. And Dave Dombrowski, if you think about it, hasn't really had a full off season to really delve into stuff because 2020 and the 2021, he was hired like halfway through the off season. Last off season, there was like half an off season because of the lockout. And now this was his first off season to really look at what the Phillies needed to improve on. And you go out, you sign Trey Turner, you sign Taiwan Walker. And I think Matt Strahm is going to be pretty dominant in this bullpen because he kind of has not the same build, but a similar build to Alvarado in the sense that he has electric stuff, just has no idea where it's going. And obviously you had to have the Dombrowski signing of Craig Kimbrell. That was like the most expected thing of all time. But I think they could win it. Like, why not us? Like, I honestly think the Braves are worse. I don't know why everybody's so gung-ho that the Mets bullpen is incredible. It's really not. If it's just Edwin Diaz back there, like you
I
see
mean,
what
they
I'm
are good, but I get what you're saying. It's just they do seem overrated time and time and time again. I mean, it feels very similar to something. I know you said this isn't an Eagles podcast,
Oh,
but
dude, you can
it
say
feels
whatever the hell
very
you want.
similar. It feels very similar to the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Every
Well, the
single
Mets are
year.
the Cowboys and the Cowboys are the Mets. It's the same thing.
It's
They have all this
it's
promise and hype and then just nothing.
yeah, it fizzles out every single time. And as much as I mean, they both have talented rosters, and like I said before, whether it's the Braves or the Mets, I think both teams are clearly going to be competitive with the Phillies, and the Phillies, if anything, will probably at best, hopefully, split with those teams throughout the regular season. But either way, I agree with you. I mean, the Phillies, especially now, if they can find more of that consistency, especially with a guy like Trey Turner, I think that really changes the lineup, and hopefully it gives them really the spark they need to give them the day-to-day kind of small little the offense obviously doesn't necessarily need to be helped, but it needs a little bit more of I need a single here and there. I need a double here and there. We need some consistency and to help even out that power and keep the defense guessing. And having that dynamic on the Phillies offense, I think, to your point, could really lead them to another run.
Yeah, and yeah, I think why not us? That's going to be the statement of this podcast and of everything else. It's going to be why not the friggin' fightins? That was the whitest thing I've ever said. But now I think because I'm kind of looking at some notes here, and I kind of wanted to go over the Gregory Soto trade with somebody because I did a podcast on my own. I haven't really broken it down. I feel like it was kind of a win-win in the sense that the Tigers got younger, they got depth pieces, and I feel like the Phillies kind of underpaid for the potential that Gregory Soto can have on this team. And also, is it Cody Clemens or is it Corey Clemens? Is it Cody?
It's Cody, yeah.
It's Cody. I said I was editing my last one and I kept saying Corey, and I'm like, you absolute idiot. And I kind of feel, and also him and Maton have almost the exact same batting stance. I don't know if you've ever seen Clemens' batting stance. look that and Maton side by side. They have identical batting stances. But I honestly feel like the Phillies kind of fleece them in a way. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I agree with you. Like you said, I think the Tigers are a team that wants to get younger. But at the same time, getting Soto, that really another all-star in this bullpen to help bolster that. Another thing, like I said, just buttoning up the things they need to button up. And when the bullpen went from literally the worst in the MLB to now it is again, like you said,
Loaded.
it's among the elite. People talk about it with the Mets, like you said, maybe overhyped, but it's kind of a testament to what we said earlier with Dombrowski, the fact that he was able to change this bullpen that quickly, and really get them the help they need. And also, not to veer off too much, but I wanted to
I know,
make
of
this
course.
point. I think the biggest thing that came from the Phillies last season, and hopefully this season, he doesn't make me walk this back, but I think one of the biggest impressions I had from the Phillies was Aaron Nola. The fact that Aaron Nola was an elite pitcher, and I'm not
Oh,
trying to talk down on him, but the stuff we saw from Aaron Nola last year, it's something that Phillies fans have been dying for, and he finally gave it to us. And hopefully, you know, obviously they didn't win it this year, but I kind of compare it to Cole Hamels when he had his lights out season and was an MVP. 2009, he was almost non-existent. So
yeah. Um,
I'm not trying to bring that bad juju,
yeah.
but I think at the same time, that's not going to happen. I think Nola's proven he has the work ethic, and especially after losing a World Series and being in a locker room that experienced that kind of adversity, that can only I know he isn't in the bullpen either, but that those impressions in the pitching the bullpen and the pitching when all the guys are reporting and hanging out. I just think that entire group, and then adding all stars like Soto, it's just going to be a really interesting year because that pitching, which people used to say was the Phillies' biggest weakness, now is becoming. I don't know. Is the pitching going to be better than the offense this year? Which is a crazy thing to say, but will it be?
It's tough to say. Obviously Nola and Wheeler have never pitched that much in their entire professional career, so it's going to be interesting to see how they handle that coming into 2023. And I've heard a million podcasts and Twitter and news and everything talk about how they really should limit Nola and Wheeler's innings at the beginning of the season, like 4 or 5 innings early on, just to really make sure that they're okay. And I think Thompson's smart enough to do that. So it's going to be interesting to see that. But then it begs the question, kind of like you said, will the pitching be better than the offense? I can see a world where that's possible, especially when there's a certain 20-year-old coming through the system that might be making his major league debut. It very well could be if we think Andrew Painter is going to be the guy we think he's going to be. And there's no doubt in my mind, Andrew Painter is going to be excellent at the big league level. Like, I can't see a world where he's not. And I know for a fact that I'm going to watch this like in X amount of months, like 8 months, and I'm going to be like, you idiot. Like, Andrew Painter sucked. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's not another Spencer Howard situation. That guy stinks. Um, but you look at the bullpen, you have Sir Anthony, Alvarado, I was about to say Dominguez, Soto, you have Strom now, you have Craig Kimbrell, Connor Brogdon, Nick Nelson, big game Nick Nelson pitched in a playoff game.
It's true.
Um, I can see a world where it is, but I'm worried about that fifth starter spot. I wish they picked up another guy because I have a feeling their plans in 2023 involve Andrew Painter. And I think it's a bad idea to rely on a guy who's never pitched more than like 120 innings in his professional career. What do you think?
I mean, I'm not against it.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the times, especially in modern day baseball, these kids, they adjust pretty quickly. Not saying that he's going to come in there and be the best pitcher in the world, but being in an environment the way that I described earlier and just having all stars in there and players who have been to a World Series and guys who are really hungry. I think it really makes you adjust and kind of pivot pretty quickly. Obviously, it's different pitching in the big leagues opposed to Double A or Triple A, but I agree with you. I could see a world where that really does work out this season for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Andrew Painter's debut, and we just got the spring training schedule. I think it's the 25th is the first game, and I already texted my girlfriend, and I'm like, we're busy that day. And she's very, very not excited to watch more baseball with me, but she'll get over it. But it's going to be must watch TV in my opinion. Seeing any Andrew Painter start, whether it's in the spring training because he got the invite to spring training, or I think they should start him in AAA, see how he does, and then elevate him to the big leagues. I think might be a good idea. One person that nobody's kind of talking about who could be a dark horse for the fifth spot in the rotation is Mark Appel. He got a minor league contract and was kind of pretty good last year and made a brief appearance in the big leagues in the bullpen. Do you think he could have any impact on this team?
I mean, I think that'll be maybe a little bit more difficult in that sense. Just the Phillies need a fifth starter.
Yeah.
The bullpen just might get a little crowded, is the thing. And after spring training is one thing. I think spring training as where you can make a really good impression and hopefully gain some minutes. I think at the same time, once spring training is over, it's a much different beast being involved there. So I think it will be more difficult, but I don't know. It's not out of the realm of possibility either. I think the Phillies, a big part of why they've been successful lately also is they've been open to letting these younger guys getting more involved and stepping up. And hopefully that trend continues, I think, to an extent. It's inevitable for it to, but hopefully some of these guys can be consistent enough for it to make a difference.
I mean, what a concept. Playing your young guys actually works out. Joe Girardi wouldn't know. That guy had Johan Camargo playing third base over Alec Boehm for half the season. I swear to God, like that guy stunted Alec Boehm's growth so much because you had Ronald Torreyes starting at third base. Like, what in God's name are you doing, dude? Like, and it sucks because like I like Joe Girardi, like the guy, as a dude. He seems like a really nice guy. Just sucks as a manager.
Yeah. I
Like
don't
how
know. It just I felt like he never was gonna work here. He
Mhm.
just didn't rub me the right way. Not that it's obvious that he was a good manager in New York and everything, but I don't know. It didn't seem like he was ever the right fit here, and clearly it didn't seem to work out at all. So I
I
don't know.
mean, you also got to look at it like it led to Rob Thompson finally getting an
Yeah,
opportunity.
no,
So
true.
everything happens for a reason. The team they look good from all. I mean, like it's hard. I think the biggest weakness for this team going into next year is that fifth starter spot. I think the bullpen's pretty solid. The lineup. I would have Derek Hall up. In the DH spot until Harper gets back because we know he's not going to be back till the All-Star break. So, and I feel like it's not only going to be Hall; it's going to be kind of a combination of a lot of guys to provide some sort of spark. But I think that weakness is the fifth starter spot. You have guys like Bailey Falter could be in play for that last spot, which I liked some of the stuff that Bailey Falter did last year, especially when Wheeler went down. He kind of stepped up. I think he had like a 2.5 ERA in like five starts during that stretch. So he's shown flashes of being able to be a pretty good starter. Andrew Painter's obviously going to be involved. Mark Appel, dark horse. That keep that in the back of your head. Mark Appel. I love the Mark Appel story, and what a storybook continuation. Honestly, would be gaining that fifth starter spot.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be that's like you said, the fifth starter and kind of seeing the consistency of the bullpen are the biggest questions because I think other than that, especially as Harper moves forward, I don't know how much he'll be in the field. Will they go with him in the DH spot again this year, do you think?
I to be safe, yes. Like when he first gets back, obviously he's probably going to be on a throwing program, but in between then, he's probably just going to be DHing until his arm is like 100% back. And then we never have to watch Nick Castellanos in the outfield again because I everybody always talks about how bad Harper's defense is out there. Watch Nick Castellanos for half a season or like 3/4 of a season, then you'll realize how actually really good Bryce Harper is out in right field. Because God, that was atrocious watching that guy play outfield. I think I could move faster than him. But, and I'm very excited. I mean, obviously, I'm excited every time the Phillies come back around, and obviously, as we get closer to the Super Bowl that the Eagles are playing, and obviously, the excitement for baseball season comes back, and this is, I mean, like I said, I'm excited all the time, but this is the first time where I'm like, this team from Jump Street is really good. There's not a lot of question marks with this team, which what a concept. Didn't know that was allowed in the city of Philadelphia. And it's just very exciting that they're gonna be like good. Like there's no questions. They're gonna start the season really good. What a concept, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to what people were saying about the Eagles, and I mean, also, I guess at one point the Sixers, but we don't need to keep going through that. But it is. I mean, it really is. It is kind of crazy, like you said. It's an insane thing that Philly sports, especially us growing up. Not that there were times where the teams were good. You know, the Phillies did win. The Flyers made it to the Stanley Cup. The Eagles made it to a Super Bowl or two before 2017. So it wasn't like we had the worst teams in the world.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it seems like now, whether it's Howie or Dombrowski, these teams, they're really loading up and making sure that they're a contender and that people want to be here playing in front of Philadelphia fans. And it seems to be working out in their favor.
Yeah, in the last 5 minutes, this is going to be Eagles talk because how can you not talk about the Eagles being in the Super Bowl right now? So we're
Yeah.
gonna dive into a little Eagles talk, buddy. How we feeling? How we feeling about that?
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, the fact that they're actually in the Super Bowl, Jalen Hurts is
Like him,
legitimately he's him, dude.
he's
He's him.
him.
The fact that he's going to be going head to head with a guy like Mahomes against a Reed in the Super Bowl, Sirianni, a former, Reed protege. So I mean, it's the exact storyline you want. And as much as I do think it's going to be a close game, there's no reason in the world for me to have no confidence in the Eagles. They've
Mhm.
shown me time and time again to believe in them this year, and I think we should continue to do so. So I'm excited. I mean, how are you feeling going into it?
Dude, here's a hot take that I'm sure will not burn me in a week. I think the Eagles are going to beat the hell out of them. I really think that this team is that good, and obviously it's Patrick Mahomes. He's the best quarterback in the entire NFL. But you look at what this team has done on both sides of the ball in both playoff games, and the Eagles haven't played anybody good. I thought we were playing a red hot Giants team who were like 3-6 in their past 9 games. So I don't know how red hot you are. Beat the hell out of them. Then you go up against the number one defense in the NFL and you hang 31 on them. Oh, you only beat us because we didn't have a quarterback. Get over yourself. Yeah, the number one defense, and we still beat the hell out of you. So why the hell not? Why can't we beat the hell out of the Chiefs? You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, to your point, I think nobody was saying that we would destroy the 49ers. And anyone that did, I shouldn't say nobody. I saw some Eagles fans, but nobody really did because the 49ers are legitimately a threatening and talented roster. And people thought they matched up decently with the Eagles. Which I mean, Purdy got hurt, and from there it's hard to recover from that. And
He saw God. Hassan Reddick came and he saw God.
he is a man of Christ. So
He
yeah,
is. Oh,
yeah,
the funniest tweet I saw was like that quote that he had. It was like, "Oh, I believe in God and whatever." And someone quote tweeted and said, "There is no God at the link. Go
yeah,
Birds."
yeah.
An all timer. But I think that just this team, I feel like this team is way more talented than the team that won the Super Bowl. Just just like I don't know. Do you think if
I
those two
mean, to your
teams went head
point,
to head?
it's just we have so much confidence and we have
Mhm.
our starting quarterback, every position for the most part, like we were just saying with the Phillies. almost every position on the Eagles buttoned up. Everyone's
Hmm.
pretty much healthy. Everyone's in. It's the team that, like you said, for the whole season, even though they've been the number one seed, people continue to talk down on them and they continue to come out and show
Hmm.
out and show out. And like you said, that's what maybe almost makes your take not even that crazy. It's maybe that's the rational take because the Eagles just the fact that people are even doubting them is because maybe they're a victim of almost how dominant they've looked till
Hmm.
now because everyone acts like, oh, they haven't had a test.
Yeah, the test was the NFC Championship game where he hanged 31 on the best defense in the NFL. But I think what makes the Eagles so dynamic is they can crush you with Kenneth Gainwell, Miles Sanders, or Boston Scott. They can each tear you up. And then you have Hurts, who is a great. Jalen Hurts is one of the most overhated quarterbacks in the NFL right now because he's like, oh, he can't throw the ball. He can't do this. Jalen Hurts has a great arm on him. He is so accurate. He can throw the deep ball. You have A.J. Brown. You have Devontae Smith. You have Dallas Goedert. Screw it. I'll throw Jack Stoll in that conversation too. Guy's a beast. But I mean, yeah, I just, I I think they're going to win. I think they're going to beat the hell out of the Chiefs, and I think Jalen Hurts in his second year as a starter is going to win the Super Bowl, and he has already tied Dak Prescott for the amount of playoff wins in his second year as a starter. So there you go, Cowboys fans. Um, but you got to give credit to Howie, man. Like I wanted him fired. I'm sure you did too.
Yeah,
Like
I
that
did.
that guy, we should have just let him cook. Let the guy cook. He knows what he's doing, and he in 5 years build another Super Bowl team. And this one's actually built, I think, for longevity. It's not just like a flash in the pan. I'm just excited, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And I mean, to your point, Howie earlier in the season when fans were in Arizona, they're like, "Oh, Howie, we forgive you. We forgive you." He's like, "Forgive me for what?" Said
Yeah,
F you.
yeah,
Forgive me for what? I got you a Super Bowl in
yeah.
2017. I'm about to get you another one.
Our God,
I,
Howie.
I am him. He said, I am him.
He said, I am him. I know exactly what I'm doing. And he did. I gotta listen, I gotta give credit to him. I definitely this is gonna look bad on me, but I was a Wentz guy. I was a Wentz guy when the whole Hurts Wentz that I was like, just let Wentz cook. He knows what he's doing, blah, blah, blah. But like, how can you blame me after that 2019 season, those last 4 games when he literally carried that Eagles team to the playoffs and I was riding the high in the coattails, but I was wrong, all right, everybody, because all my friends roasted me. Like, oh, it could be a Wentz guy. I'm sorry, okay? I was wrong. Jalen Hurts is him. I'm glad he's here. And that's that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think everyone is ready to eat crow on that if they haven't already. So
Yeah.
I agree
Guys,
with you, dude. I think I don't know. I'll throw a score out there. Maybe the Eagles are gonna win here 38-27.
I got 34-17 final
We'll see.
Eagles.
If hopefully if one of those are right, we have a bet on it. So
That's true. Yeah. Well, I'll rewind. I'll post this on my Instagram. If the Eagles win by either of our scores, I'll post it on my Instagram. Be like, am I a god? Maybe,
yeah,
just
yeah,
maybe.
maybe.
That's Eagles talk for you. Maybe who knows? Maybe coming soon. I don't know. Again, I keep saying it, but it's the end of the season, so maybe next year, idiots. Um, but buddy, I just want to thank you for joining me on this grand adventure.
Yeah, no problem, dude. Happy to talk. It's been a minute.
It's
It's awesome.
it's been a minute. Do you want to plug anything? Do you want to do? I don't. You can do
Yeah,
whatever you
yeah.
want.
Yeah, sure. I mean, every weekend I'm on BetQLU in the action on the BetQL network. You could watch it on twitch.tv/BetQL. Or if you use the Odyssey app, which a lot of the radio stations are on there, you could look that up and listen to it. Just look up BetQL. And just follow me on Twitter at a DiRenzo6.
I'll put it down there in
Yeah,
there
yeah.
so they can
I'm
follow
always
you.
just doing a bunch of stuff. I work weekdays in news talk and weekends in sports. So always
Fun
doing stuff.
stuff.
Yeah.
All right, well that's gonna wrap it up because I think the meeting's about to end anyway. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And let me just oh God, I forgot to